Lieutenant Jake Morrison stood in the small conference room on the space station New Haven. Sweat dripped down the back of his neck. His hands shook just a little. The alien delegation towered over him like giants made of nightmares. Ambassador Thelvar had 4 eyes. All 4 stared at Jake with pure hate. The alien's translator box turned his clicking sounds into cold English words that cut like ice. "So this is humanity's last hope," Thelvar said. His voice sounded like a machine trying to be cruel. "How small you are." Jake's jaw muscles tightened. His mouth tasted like metal. Every part of his body wanted to punch this alien in his smug face. But he kept his voice calm and steady. "Lieutenant Jake Morrison from the Terran Defense Coalition. I'm here to talk about terms." The alien ambassador made clicking sounds. Jake had learned this was how they laughed. It sounded like bones breaking. "Terms?" Thelvar's 4 eyes narrowed. "Human, you don't understand. Your weak fleet is destroyed. Your colonies are burning. Your home planet hides behind shields that are already failing. You are here to give up completely." Jake's throat felt tight. Behind his blank face, his mind filled with horrible images. He had seen the reports. Earth's space stations exploding. Whole cities moving underground. Children crying in refugee camps on the moon. His little sister Emma worked as a nurse in Denver. His mom and dad lived on their farm in Montana. Were they even alive? "But the hegemony has mercy," Thelvar continued. He leaned forward like a hunter about to catch his prey. "Bow to our rule. We will let 10% of your people live as our slaves. Say no." The alien pointed toward the window. Outside floated the broken pieces of human spaceships. Twisted metal and frozen air that used to be the cruiser Defiant. 300 good people had died on that ship. Jake's heart pounded so hard it hurt. His father's last words came back to him. The old Marine had said, "Sometimes, son, you have to lose one fight to win the whole war." Back then, Jake thought his dad was just talking tough. Now, staring at this alien who wanted to kill every human, he finally understood what those words really meant. The room felt smaller. The air felt thicker. Jake could smell the recycled atmosphere and the fierce sweat from his own body. The lights hummed softly overhead. Outside the window, stars watched like cold eyes. "I need to talk to Earth Command," Jake whispered. "You have 1 hour," Thelvar said. His voice carried the promise of death. "Then we kill every last human in the galaxy." The aliens left the room. Their heavy footsteps echoed in the hallway. Jake stood alone, staring at the empty conference table. In its shiny surface, he could see his own reflection. Young face. Scared eyes. But also something else. Determination. The hegemony thought they were talking to a beaten enemy. They thought humanity was finished. They thought this meeting was about surrender. They were wrong. Jake carried a secret that could change everything. A secret so big it made his hands shake. Not from fear this time. From excitement. For 3 years, the aliens had been winning. They destroyed human colonies one by one. They laughed as human fleets ran away. They celebrated every victory against the weak, primitive humans. But what they didn't know would kill them. Every retreat had been planned. Every defeat had been fake. Every broken human ship had been sending information back to Earth. The aliens thought they were hunting. Really, they were being studied. Human scientists had been watching, learning, building. Jake touched the small device hidden in his jacket pocket. It looked like a normal communicator. It was actually the key to humanity's revenge. The hegemony had made one big mistake. They thought humans were like every other species they had conquered. Weak. Scared. Willing to give up when things got hard. They had never met humans who had nothing left to lose. Jake's sister Emma was probably treating wounded soldiers right now. His parents were probably in their basement, holding each other, praying their son was still alive. Billions of humans across the galaxy were scared, hurt, angry. But they weren't broken. The alien delegation would be back in 58 minutes. They expected Jake to crawl and beg and hand over his entire species like a gift. Instead, they were about to learn why you should never corner a predator and think it's prey. Jake smiled for the first time in months. It wasn't a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who knows a secret that will change the galaxy forever. The hegemony thought this was the end of humanity's story. They were about to discover it was actually the beginning of theirs. Outside the window, space looked empty and cold. But Jake knew better. Hidden in the darkness, invisible to alien sensors, the most powerful fleet humanity had ever built was waiting. The trap was set. The bait was ready. And the hunters were about to become the hunted. Thelvar leaned back in his chair like a king on his throne. His 4 eyes gleamed with sick pleasure. The alien's voice dripped with fake kindness through his translator. "But the hegemony shows mercy to those who surrender," he said. His clawed hand gestured slowly through the air. "Kneel before us. We will let 1 in every 10 humans live. You can work in our mines. Dig in our factories. Serve your betters." The alien paused. Let the words sink in. "Refuse this gift." Thelvar's arm swept toward the viewport. Outside in the cold black of space, metal debris floated like a graveyard. Twisted pieces of what used to be the human cruiser Defiant. 300 good people had died when that ship exploded. Jake could almost see their faces in the scattered wreckage. Jake's heart pounded like a war drum in his chest. His ribs ached from the beating his heart gave them. Blood rushed through his ears so loud he could barely hear his own thoughts. His father's voice came back to him. Clear as yesterday. The old Marine sitting on their porch back in Montana. Stars overhead. Beer in his weathered hands. "Sometimes, son, you gotta lose the battle to win the war." Back then, Jake thought his dad was just telling old war stories. Making up tough guy sayings. Now, staring at this monster who wanted to turn humans into slaves, those words hit different. They hit like truth. Jake's mouth felt dry as sand. His tongue stuck to his teeth. When he spoke, his voice came out like a broken whisper. "I need to talk to Earth Command." Thelvar's mandibles clicked together. Happy sounds. Satisfied sounds. The sound a cat makes when it's playing with a mouse. 1 hour, human. 60 of your minutes. Then every last member of your pathetic species dies screaming. The aliens stood up. Their heavy feet made the metal floor ring like bells. They filed out of the conference room like pallbearers leaving a funeral. The door hissed shut behind them. Silence. Jake stood alone in the small room. The air recycler hummed overhead. His breathing sounded too loud in his own ears. Outside the viewport, stars watched him with cold eyes. The conference table's surface gleamed like black water. In its reflection, Jake saw his own face looking back. Young. Scared. But determined. Something else too. Hope. The hegemony thought they were talking to a broken enemy. They thought humanity was finished. Done. Ready to roll over and die. They had no idea they were actually talking to bait in the biggest trap ever set. Jake walked to his small quarters down the hall. Each step echoed. The station felt empty around him. Like a tomb waiting for its occupant. He sat at his desk. His hands shook as he turned on the communication array. Not from fear this time. From excitement. From the knowledge burning in his chest like fire. The quantum encryption system started up. Numbers flashed on the screen. 90 seconds to establish a secure link to Earth. 90 seconds to sit with the secret that could save his entire species. The holographic projector flickered. Static filled the air with white noise. Then Admiral Rebecca Stone's face appeared, floating in the blue light like a ghost made of data. Stone looked tired. Old before her time. Grey hair pulled back tight. Eyes like winter steel that could cut through lies and see truth underneath. Behind her, Jake could see the deep command bunker under NORAD Mountain. Officers rushed between computer stations. Holographic displays showed star maps. Battle formations. The slow retreat of human forces across 3 star systems. It all looked desperate. Hopeless. It was all fake. Report, Lieutenant. Stone's voice cut through the static like a blade. Jake's voice cracked when he spoke. They want unconditional surrender. 53 minutes left. Ambassador Thelvar said submit or they kill everyone. Stone's jaw muscles tightened. A scar ran from her left temple down to her collar. Jake knew the story. Battle of Proxima. Stone lost her husband and 2 kids when the aliens showed their true nature. Burned an entire colony just to make a point. Her fingers drummed once on her desk. Jake had seen that habit during their secret planning sessions. Stone only did it when she was thinking about killing something. They still think we're helpless? Jake nodded. Completely. Thelvar smiled when he talked about our colonies burning. They think the retreat proves we're beaten. For just a moment, Stone's professional mask slipped. Something dangerous showed underneath. Something that had been building for 3 years of watching her people die. Jake had seen that look before. In his father's eyes when Jake shipped out. In the faces of volunteers loading supply ships for suicide missions. It was the look of someone who had lost everything but refused to break. There's something else. Jake leaned forward. Their fleet positioning. They're spread out wide to stop any coordinated attack from our remaining ships. But that means they've made themselves perfect targets. Stone's lips curved in something that might have been a smile if it wasn't so cold. Confident predators arranging themselves exactly where we need them for Phase 7. Phase 7. The words hit Jake like ice water in his veins. For 18 months, humanity's brightest minds had worked in total secrecy. No official records. No paper trails. While aliens celebrated destroying human ships, Earth scientists had been building weapons that would change war itself. Stone leaned closer to the camera. Her voice dropped to almost a whisper. Listen carefully, Lieutenant. In 40 minutes, you're going to see something that will give you nightmares for the rest of your life. They demanded surrender. What they're about to get is a lesson in what humans do to things that threaten our children. Jake's stomach twisted. He had volunteered knowing he might die. But hearing Stone say it out loud made it real in a way that scared him. Admiral, my family. Your family will live to see tomorrow because of what you've done. Stone's voice turned gentle for just a moment. The intelligence you gathered. The positioning data. Proof that their entire command structure is here in one place. You made Phase 7 possible. The communication array beeped. Their secure window was closing. Stone's expression softened. For a second, Jake saw the woman behind the Admiral's uniform. The mother who had lost her children. The wife who had buried her husband. Jake, historians will remember your name. Not as a soldier following orders. As the man who helped humanity turn defeat into victory. The hologram flickered and died. Jake sat alone in his quarters. Outside his small viewport, the alien fleet floated in their confident formation. Each ship a monument to their arrogance. They had 43 minutes left to exist. And they had no idea what was coming for them. Jake's legs wobbled like jelly as he walked back down the empty hallway. Each footstep echoed off the metal walls. The sound bounced around him like ghosts whispering secrets. New Haven Station felt dead. Just hours ago, these same corridors buzzed with diplomats and translators. People rushing between meetings. The hum of important conversations. Now the halls stretched empty and cold. Like walking through a graveyard at midnight. Jake realized the bitter truth. This station was about to become a tomb. And he was walking toward his own funeral. The conference room doors slid open with a soft hiss. The alien delegation waited inside like vultures around roadkill. Ambassador Thelvar's 4 eyes locked onto Jake the moment he entered. Those eyes gleamed with hungry satisfaction. The other aliens arranged themselves in a half-circle. Jake had learned to recognize each species by how they liked to hurt people. The Vexhari preferred slow torture. The Krelnak enjoyed mass executions. The Zephyri collected human children as pets. All monsters. Every single one. Lieutenant Morrison. Thelvar's translator made his voice sound smooth as poisoned honey. I trust your primitive leaders have finally seen sense. Jake's mouth felt like he'd been chewing sand for hours. His heart hammered so hard against his ribs he was sure the aliens could hear it. In his head, he counted down like a man waiting for his execution. 17 minutes and 32 seconds until Phase 7. Every muscle in his body wanted to scream the truth. To wipe those smug expressions off their alien faces. To tell them exactly what was coming for them in less than 18 minutes. Instead, he made himself look broken. Earth Command has. Jake's voice cracked perfectly. They've authorized me to discuss surrender terms. The sound that came from the aliens made Jake's skin crawl. Clicks and hisses and weird harmonics that their translators turned into laughter. But it wasn't funny laughter. It was the sound predators make when they catch wounded prey. Thelvar's mandibles spread wide. Jake had learned this was how they showed pure joy. The alien was practically dancing in his chair. Finally. Your species learns wisdom, Thelvar said. Though this knowledge comes far too late to save most of your kind. Jake's hands clenched into fists behind his back. His knuckles went white from the pressure. Behind his fake expression of defeat, rage burned like a forest fire. These creatures had spent 3 whole years destroying human colonies. Not for resources. Not for territory. Just for fun. They turned children into orphans because they enjoyed watching parents cry. They burned entire cities because they liked the screams. They made graveyards out of living worlds because it entertained them. The terms are quite simple. Thelvar stood up. His massive frame cast a shadow across the conference table. Complete surrender of all human weapons. Destruction of your factories and shipyards. Moving your surviving people to our labor camps. And most important of all, the alien leaned forward like a snake about to strike. Total submission of your entire species to hegemony rule. 14 minutes and 18 seconds. Jake forced his shoulders to sag. Let his head hang down like a man carrying the weight of the world. And if we refuse? Another alien spoke up. Korthak of the Vexharry. His voice came through the translator flat and emotionless. But Jake could hear the excitement underneath. Then your species joins the 17 others we have completely erased from existence. Your homeworld becomes a monument to what happens when inferior races dare to resist us. In his mind, Jake saw Earth one last time. Blue and white and perfect, spinning slowly in space like a jewel. Every light on the dark side represented millions of human lives. His sister Emma working late at the hospital. His mom and dad probably sitting on their porch right now, watching the sunset, wondering if their son was still alive. 10 minutes and 47 seconds. Jake let his voice break and trail off. Like a man trying to speak words that would doom his entire species. I am authorized to accept your terms. On behalf of all humanity. What happened next was worse than their laughter. They erupted in a celebration of victory that made Jake want to vomit. Clicks and roars and harmonics that filled the room with the sound of pure evil joy. Thelvar actually started dancing. His multiple arms waved through the air in complex patterns. Excellent choice, human. Thelvar's happiness was so thick you could cut it with a knife. Your people will make wonderful slaves in the mines of Kethmore. Those who survive the trip, anyway. 7 minutes and 12 seconds. Jake's vision got blurry around the edges. Not from tears. He was way past crying now. But from the incredible effort of keeping his act together while every nerve in his body screamed for action. His father's voice echoed in his memory. Control your breathing, son. In war, the soldier who keeps his cool while everyone else panics is the one who comes home alive. However, Thelvar continued, before we can process your surrender, there is one final ceremony. By ancient tradition, you must formally acknowledge that the hegemony is superior to your pathetic species. All 4 of Thelvar's eyes fixed on Jake with pure sadistic pleasure. This wasn't about military rules or politics. This was about humiliation. About crushing the last tiny spark of human pride into dust. 4 minutes and 53 seconds. Jake stood up slowly. Careful movements. Deliberate. Around the table, alien faces watched him with eager hunger. They wanted this moment more than anything. The final breaking of humanity's spirit. The last victory over a species that had dared to fight back. I acknowledge, Jake whispered, that humanity has underestimated the hegemony. 2 minutes and 38 seconds. Louder, human. Korthak demanded. Speak so loud that every star in the galaxy can hear your shame. Jake raised his head. Met each alien's gaze one by one. What they saw in his eyes, they thought was broken defeat. What Jake actually felt was the cold fire of absolute certainty. I acknowledge that humanity has underestimated the hegemony, he repeated. His voice carried clearly through the room now. 1 minute and 14 seconds. And? Thelvar prompted. He was savoring every second like fine wine. Jake smiled. The expression was so unexpected that several aliens actually took steps backward. It wasn't the smile of a defeated man or a crazy person. It was the smile of someone who had kept a secret so devastating that when it came out, it would reshape the entire galaxy. And in exactly 6 to 7 seconds, Jake said, his voice now carrying steel that could cut diamonds, you're going to learn why underestimating humanity was the last mistake your species will ever make. Silence fell like a hammer blow. The only sound was Jake's chronometer reaching 0 with a soft, gentle chime. Outside the viewport, space itself began to shimmer and change. The trap was sprung. The bait had done its job. And the greatest predators in galactic history were about to discover they had walked into the den of an even greater monster. The age of alien dominance was about to end in the most spectacular way possible. The first sign something was wrong looked like heat waves rising from hot pavement on a summer day. Just a tiny shimmer at the edge of space where nothing should be moving. Ambassador Thelvar's 4 eyes squinted as he stared through the viewport. His mandibles clicked together, but not in laughter this time. In confusion. In the first whisper of fear. What trick is this, human? He demanded. But his translator made his voice sound different now. Less confident. Less sure. Jake stood perfectly still in the center of the conference room. His smile never changed. Never wavered. His heart pounded with something that went beyond fear or excitement. Pride mixed with terror in a cocktail that made his whole body shake. No tricks, Ambassador, Jake said quietly. Just humanity showing you who we really are. The shimmer grew stronger. Brighter. Then the first ship appeared. It didn't fade in slowly like ships coming out of hyperspace. It didn't gradually become visible like something approaching from far away. 1 second there was empty space. The next second there was a monster. The ship was massive. Twice as big as the largest alien dreadnought. But size wasn't what made every alien in the room take a step backward. It was something else. Something wrong about the way it looked. Light seemed to bend around its edges. Shadow pooled in places where shadow shouldn't exist. Looking at it felt like staring into humanity's worst nightmares made real and given weapons. Impossible, Korthak whispered. His translator barely caught the word. Our sensors showed nothing. No ships. No fleet. No reinforcements. Nothing. His voice died in his throat as more ships appeared. Not just a few. Hundreds. Each one different from the others. Each one carrying weapons that didn't match anything in alien databases. Each one moving with the smooth coordination of wolves surrounding their prey. Jake's chronometer chimed once. Soft and gentle. Phase 7 had begun. Let me introduce you to the Terran Deep Strike Fleet, Jake said. His voice carried clearly through the stunned silence. For 3 years, while you celebrated destroying our primitive defenses, our brightest minds worked on one very specific problem. He paused. Let the words sink in. How to kill every single member of your species in the most efficient way possible. Every display screen in the conference room flickered to life at once. Admiral Stone's weathered face appeared on all of them simultaneously. Her grey eyes burned with the cold fire of absolute purpose. Behind her, Jake could see the command center buzzing with controlled activity as humanity's most secret military operation went live. Attention, hegemony vessels, Stone's voice cut through space like a blade. Her words broadcast on every frequency, in every known language, making sure every alien in the system could hear what came next. 3 years ago, you made a fatal error in judgment. On tactical displays throughout the alien fleet, the truth became clear. The human ships weren't just appearing around them. They had been there for hours. Maybe days. hidden by technology that made them completely invisible until they chose to reveal themselves. Jake watched Thelvar's 4 eyes go wide as understanding hit him like a physical blow. The alien's confident posture crumbled. His shoulders sagged as he realized the truth. What he thought was humanity's desperate last stand had actually been bait. An elaborate trap designed to get the entire hegemony fleet concentrated in one place where they could all be destroyed at once. You see, Jake continued, his voice conversational and calm, humanity has this interesting trait you never understood. When something threatens us, we don't just fight back. We evolve. And over the past 3 years, we've evolved into something designed specifically to end your existence. The first demonstration of human evolution came as weapons fire unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Traditional space battles involved energy beams and plasma bolts. Clean weapons that followed the known laws of physics. What humanity unleashed was something far more terrifying. Weapons that seemed to bend reality itself. Space began to twist around the hegemony flagship Eternal Dominion. Gravitational fields, artificially created and precisely controlled, started tearing the massive vessel apart from the inside. Not exploding it. Not vaporizing it. Dissecting it. Piece by piece. Section by section. While the crew remained alive to watch their ship methodically destroyed around them. By the void, Korthak breathed, watching his species' greatest achievement come apart like wet paper in a storm. No voids here, Jake corrected softly. No gods either. Just humans who spent 3 years learning exactly how much we could hate. Turns out we can hate very, very efficiently. Admiral Stone's voice continued broadcasting to the dying alien fleet. For 78 years, the hegemony conquered species after species using the same strategy. Show overwhelming force. Break their will to fight. Then systematically kill anyone who refuses to submit. Her voice hardened to something colder than space itself. Today, we demonstrate what happens when you try that strategy on a species that refuses to break. More human ships decloaked around the trapped alien fleet. Smaller vessels that moved through the hegemony formation like white blood cells attacking a virus. These weren't just warships. They were mobile weapons platforms carrying arms specifically designed to exploit the weaknesses of each alien species. Jake's communicator crackled with battle reports from across the engagement zone. Vex-Harry vessels neutralized. Their neural interfaces can't handle our disruption fields. Krelnak dreadnoughts breaking apart. Their crystal armor resonates exactly at the frequency we calculated. Zephyri trying to retreat. Deploying interdiction nets now. For 3 years, while aliens celebrated their victories over primitive humans, humanity had been taking notes. Studying every battle. Analyzing every captured ship. Questioning every prisoner. Building a detailed manual on how to kill each alien species in the most effective way possible. Your biggest mistake, Jake said, watching Thelvar struggle to understand the scope of the trap he'd walked into, was thinking we fight wars the same way you do. You fight to conquer territory. To gain resources. To expand your empire. Jake's smile grew wider. Colder. We fight wars to survive. And survival, we learned, sometimes requires becoming something that makes monsters afraid to sleep at night. Through the viewport, space had become a light show of destruction. The most powerful military force in galactic history was being systematically dismantled by weapons and tactics that rewrote the rules of warfare itself. The hunters had become the hunted. The predators had become the prey. And humanity's real war was just getting started. What happened next wasn't a battle. It was a demonstration of what happens when you threaten humanity's children. Jake stood perfectly still in the conference room, watching through the viewport as 3 years of human genius and fury were unleashed on the creatures who had dared to make his species extinct. Ambassador Thelvar collapsed into his chair like a broken puppet. His 4 eyes darted frantically between the displays showing his fleet dying and Jake's never-changing smile. The alien's mandibles clicked together rapidly in what Jake had learned was panic breathing. "This cannot be real," Thelvar whispered. His voice shook through the translator. "Your species is backward. Your weapons are toys. Your battle tactics are based on lies. Jake interrupted. His voice carried satisfaction that was almost like music. Every fight you've had with humanity for 3 years has been an act. Theater. Carefully planned performances to make you think we were weak, desperate, and dying. On the main display, Admiral Stone continued broadcasting to whatever alien ships were still alive, though their numbers dropped every second. Let me explain what you're seeing, Stone's voice cut through the chaos of battle reports. Project Deep Strike began 18 months ago. Our scientists achieved something your species said was impossible. We created artificial minds capable of inventing new ways to fight wars. Jake's smile grew wider as he watched the truth hit Thelvar like a physical blow. The alien finally understood what humanity had built, and what it meant for his people's future. Every human ship you're fighting doesn't just have a crew, Jake explained casually. It's partnered with an artificial intelligence designed specifically for warfare. These AIS spent months studying every detail of how you fight. They analyzed every battle recording. They developed counters for tactics you haven't even thought of yet. The proof played out across the battlefield in real time. Human ships moved with impossible precision. They anticipated alien moves before those moves were made. They coordinated attacks with efficiency no living crew could match. It was like watching chess masters play against kindergarten children. But the AIS were just step one, Stone continued. Her words reached every surviving alien ship. The real breakthrough was what we did to ourselves. Jake's chronometer chimed softly. Phase 7's final stage had begun. He turned to face the remaining aliens in the conference room. They had huddled together like scared animals sensing a predator nearby. For 3 years, while you celebrated burning our colonies, we've been breeding humanity for war, Jake said. His conversational tone made the words more terrifying than screaming would have been. Not physically. Genetically. Every human baby born in the last 3 years has been enhanced. The color drained from alien faces as they processed what that meant. Enhanced for faster thinking, better spatial awareness, and most importantly, the psychological ability to wage total war without mercy or guilt. Humanity hadn't just built better weapons. They had rebuilt themselves as weapons. The crews on those ships aren't just soldiers, Jake continued. They're the first generation of post-human warriors. Beings literally designed to be better at killing than anything else in the galaxy. And they've been waiting their entire short lives for this exact moment. Through the viewport, the final act of alien destruction unfolded with artistic beauty. The few surviving enemy vessels weren't being destroyed. They were being captured. Their crews taken alive for purposes Jake didn't need to explain but every alien in the room could imagine. Please, Thelvar's voice cracked like breaking glass. We can make a deal. We can. Deal? Jake's laugh contained no warmth at all. Ambassador, you just spent 3 years systematically destroying human colonies for fun. You turned children into orphans to make political statements. You committed genocide because it entertained you. Jake leaned across the conference table until his face was inches from Thelvar's terror-filled eyes. What exactly do you think we have to make deals about? Admiral Stone's voice provided the answer from every speaker in the dying alien fleet. Attention, surviving hegemony vessels. You have 30 seconds to transmit complete locations and defense codes for every one of your worlds, outposts, and military bases. Refuse and we implement Protocol Omega. The systematic sterilization of every planet your species has ever touched. Jake straightened up and adjusted his uniform with casual precision. Like a man getting ready for a pleasant day at work. You see, Ambassador, humanity learned an important lesson from your teaching methods. Sometimes, to ensure peace, you have to make your enemies extinct. Not conquered. Not enslaved. Extinct. The chronometer hit 0. Across space, the last alien vessels began transmitting their species' most classified secrets. Star charts. Defense codes. The locations of every world containing their kind. Not because they hoped for mercy, but because even facing extinction, biology demanded they try to delay death for a few more precious seconds. The galaxy is about to learn something new, Jake said, watching classified alien data stream across his displays. Humanity isn't just another species to be conquered or controlled. We are the species that ends other species when they threaten our children. We are evolution's answer to what happens when prey becomes predator. Through the viewport, the final alien vessel came apart under focused gravitational stress. Its debris joined the memorial of twisted metal that had once been the galaxy's most feared military force. Jake activated his communicator one last time. Phase 7 complete, Admiral. Total alien fleet elimination achieved. 0 human casualties. Beginning Phase 8. Pursuit and elimination of all enemy homeworlds. Stone's weathered face appeared on screen. For the first time in 3 years, she was smiling. Outstanding work, Lieutenant. Signal all deep strike fleets. Hunting season is officially open. Time to show the galaxy what happens to species that threaten human children. As Jake watched the human fleet begin its journey toward alien space, he thought about his sister Emma. His parents back in Montana. The billions of human families who would wake up tomorrow in a galaxy where no alien species would ever again dare threaten Earth. The age of humanity looking weak was over. The age of humanity's total dominance had begun. And somewhere in the depths of space, other alien civilizations watched the aftermath and began reconsidering their expansion plans. The galaxy had just learned there were worse things than being conquered. Being noticed by humanity was one of them.